US President Trump loves putting his name on things. No monument is safe, not even Mount Rushmore. Might the Donald muscle his way onto that revered crop of granite? We'll give you some history.
Have you heard of Kowloon's Walled City? Up until the 1980s, over 50,000 people lived inside a space of just 2.6 hectares, making it the most densely populated place on Earth. It's an interesting story.
However big you're hoping to make your marriage proposal in this performative age of viral one-upmanship, you're going to have a tough time topping a Japanese artist known as Yassan. Put it this way, skywriting is no longer going to get you there.
And still on the subject of Chinese culture, we look at Baoding balls. You know, those musical metal balls that you sometimes see people rolling around in their hands? What are they and why?
Hello and welcome to REMORANDOM, the podcast. I'm Remo Giuffre.
And I'm Claudia Chanshaw.
And you're back again.
I'm back.
From Singapore. The traveling
I've just led
saleswoman. No, the traveling Art Deco expert. Yeah, how was it?
Yes, I had a wonderful time. We unearthed Art Deco in unexpected places, saw fantastic art at the world's biggest Southeast Asian art fair, Art SG. It was huge. And you know what? Going all through the city, the decorations were starting to go up for the Year of the Horse because we're coming up to Chinese New Year.
Yeah, it's exciting for all of us, really. It's very colourful. And I mean, it's very appropriate. Look at your backdrop there. It's a very Chinese New Year vibe happening.
It is. My head is obstructing, if you're watching on video, the good luck symbol of the Chinese New Year. But I want to ask you a personal question, Remo.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. What's your Chinese zodiac animal?
Okay, I happen to know this because it's the same as my father's. You're the rat. Rat.
You're a ratty.
I'm cunning.
You're cunning, but also you think of the characteristics of the rat. You're darting from place to place because you've always got ideas. You're very quick. You're intelligent. So it's the good stuff associated with the animal.
Eat a lot of tasty things.
And you do eat a lot. I'm a tiger. I am a born leader.
Right. Awesome.
Right. He says right.
Growing up in a sort of a Chinese Australian household, was like Chinese New Year like a big deal for you? Or
the big deal was that your grandparents would give you little red packets of money. So we were hanging out for the money.
Real money or held banknotes? You know, we've done the held banknote.
No, real money.
Proper money.
Proper money. So it wouldn't be a huge amount. But, you'd have a little note folded up inside a red packet that would give you, it's for good luck. And the older generations would give them to the younger unmarried generation. So we were hanging out for the money. I don't get money anymore. I'm old and married.
That's a classic way for grandparents to curry favor with grandchildren is for them to slip them a lobster or a blue swimmer from time to time. Sorry, I've got
once a year.
I'm just getting over a virus, so hence my voice is a little croaky. Unfortunately, the timing wasn't great for that virus because I had to get the book off to the printer, the REMORANDOM number 6, which we did. And in fact, today we're just sending the final revisions in. One of the revisions is kind of relevant to Chinese New Year and today's conversation because there's a story in the new book, and I think you're going to be talking about it today, about Kowloon Walled City.
Fascinating.
But too fascinating as far as the Chinese printers were concerned. So I actually had to do a bit of rewriting here and there.
Okay. You're being censored.
I didn't get the whole chapter nixed like... Little Red Book. Little Red Book was a non-starter a few issues ago, but so I got the topic through, but with a little bit of change this word, change that word. Let's pretend that, the British actually didn't govern it for a while. But anyway, maybe I shouldn't be talking about that on the podcast.
I'll tell you all about it shortly.
So let's do it.
Well, I have something very interesting to tell you. We're talking about this mysterious Kowloon Walled City. What are we talking about? It was a place known as the City of Darkness. Do I have your attention? I
Yeah,
like
you do.
that. And it was an extremely densely populated and pretty lawless enclave of China that existed between the boundaries of Kowloon City in Hong Kong. This is when Hong Kong is a former British colony. So it starts life as a Chinese military fort way back in the Qing dynasty. But the modern story really takes shape in the late 19th century. So Hong Kong is ceded to Britain. The walled city becomes this really strange diplomatic loophole in that it's technically Chinese territories, but it's enclosed by British controlled Hong Kong. So its population increases dramatically at the end of the Japanese occupation of Hong Kong during World War II. And it attracts many, many, many refugees who are fleeing this renewed civil war in China. So thousands of refugees from mainland China pour in, and the old stone walls start to give way to this lawless megastructure. By the 1980s, roughly 50,000 people are living inside just 2.6 hectares, making it the most densely
Mm.
populated place on Earth. Now, if you're standing on the outside, it looks like this single solid block of giant concrete, 12 to 14 stories high. And it's got this chaotic mess of pipes and cables and balconies and stairwells and dangling laundry hanging everywhere. Now, from the inside, it's this really dark, dim place. It's dark corridors, they barely see daylight, and the sunlight only reaches the top floors. So the lower levels are always in this perpetual twilight. There's no central
Mm.
planning, no building codes, and for decades the police wouldn't go near the place. The lower floors were notorious for illegal factories, unlicensed dentists, ouch, opium dens, gambling rooms, brothels, and the five triad gangs were hanging out there as well. But it wasn't just a place of criminals. It was also a tightly knit living community. Families lived there for generations. The children used to play on the rooftop courtyards. The neighbors would share water and electricity and stories and favors. There were temples, there were noodle factories, there were schools and workshops, and they produced everything from fish balls to plastic goods. Life was improvised, but it was organized. Elevators were practically non existent, so people used to climb these dark stairwells with their groceries and their furniture, and water was pumped from wells to the rooftop tanks. And because the aeroplanes from nearby Kai Tak Airport flew directly overhead, the building height was capped, obviously for safety. Do you remember Kai Tak Airport? Oh,
I
duck.
remember I remember that approach was freaky. That approach was
It
freaky.
was it was hairy. The airplanes used to go past and people were eating their dinners and look up and go, "Hi, seat 4A."
Oh,
Photographers and journalists
yeah.
were crazy about the place because they loved to talk about it. They displayed it as kind of a vertical slum, this almost cyberpunk overcrowding vision of decay and dystopia. And it was featured in a number of novels and films and video games. And there's a really cool book of photographs from 1993 called The City of Darkness. But to outsiders, this walled city became a symbol of urban dystopia. But to the residents, it was just simply, it was home. It was cheap,
Mm.
it was central, and it was alive. So by the late 1980s, both the British and the Chinese had finally decided that the place had to go. And by 1993, it was fully evacuated and demolition began. The residents were compensated and rehoused. So by 1994, the world's strangest city has gone. And today, its footprint is marked by a peaceful public park with stone markers and a reconstructed gate that marks where the chaos of the Kowloon Walled City once stood.
It's beautiful. I kind of like the look of the old city rather than the park, to be honest with you, but, it was so striking. There's a bit of a kind of a Shantaram slum vibe there, and
Yeah.
I remember reading that book. There was, as desperate as a lot of the conditions were, the sense of community and,
Mm.
all of the children are basically being raised by all of the adults, in this very
Yeah,
enclosed.
exactly. It was community. That was the word for it. I read a book about a young British boy growing up in Hong Kong called Guelo, and he mentions the walled city. And reading about that, I'd love to see this, but it
Mm,
ain't no
mm.
more. It's
It
gone,
ain't no
long
more.
gone.
Well, I'm going to talk to you about another monument, but this one doesn't involve too many people. Well, actually, just involves one, two, three, four people. Hopefully not five, but I'm talking about Mount Rushmore. And the reason why I wanted to talk about Mount Rushmore today, and I think you know what I'm talking about when I say Mount Rushmore, it's this
Of
monumental
course.
sculpture carved into the granite face of a mountain located in the Black Hills of South Dakota. You might remember it from the
North by
Alfred Hitchcock
Northwest.
movie North by Northwest, where they're like hanging from
That's right.
faces and chasing. But yeah, the current US president, Donald Trump, he does like to put his name on things. And he's also been sort of angling to have his face carved into the mountain next to
Mm.
George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Theodore Roosevelt, and Abraham Lincoln. Please, please no, please no. Um, so yeah, what is this? Anyway, I thought you might be interested to know how it all kicked off. So the idea was conceived by this South Dakotan historian, Dwayne Robinson, in 1923, and it was more or less designed to create a tourist attraction, like something that's going to anchor tourists to come to their state. Initially, it was going to feature American West and Native American heroes, but the sculptor who was appointed, Gutzon Borglum, he chose those four presidents instead. So the idea is that they would represent, respectively, the nation's birth, growth, development, and preservation of the Union. So construction began in 1927, and it involved a team of more than 400 workers using dynamite. And the rock wasn't super stable, so they were a little bit constrained as to where they were going to put these faces. Initially, I think it was going to be full half bodies, but then they decided that just the rock wasn't going to allow that to happen. So we've just got these four faces. And it's very iconic. Hardly a disaster movie will go by where aliens aren't destroying three things: Statue of Liberty, Empire State Building, and Mount Rushmore. So it's bizarrely, it was named on a whim after a visiting attorney whose name was Charles Rushmore. Just happened to mention to his guide, "What's the name of that?" And the guide said, "Well, maybe we should just call it Mount Rushmore after you." So it's kind of a nice,
Are you
kind of
kidding?
a nice. No, it's bizarre.
That's amazing.
Uh, but the the nation of Indians are not happy because in order to build this, the government had to go back on a pact that they'd made with the Sioux Indians because it's a sacred place for them. So they reneged on that deal. The US Supreme Court has actually ruled that the taking back of those hills was not legal and, required compensation of $102 million. But the Sioux have not taken that money, and it's actually grown with interest to over $1 billion now.
Oh, wow.
So it's a little bit of a shameful backstory, but the monument is undeniably iconic. And let's just keep our fingers crossed that it stays the way it is and no one else muzzles their way onto that rock face.
It's interesting because I would have thought it was much older than the 1920s. It feels like it's,
Yeah,
you
right.
know,
Yeah,
turn of the other century or something like that.
yeah.
So interesting. Well,
Interesting. It's meant to be interesting.
I'm going to continue our Chinese theme
Chinese
now.
theme. Yes.
Yeah, and talk about Baoding balls. You know what these things are? They're those metal balls that
Oh,
have you got some
I
there?
I do. I happen to.
Oh, there
Sorry
he
to
goes.
lose my Yes, I do. I do love bounding balls.
Ah,
I
do you
will.
use them?
Hang on.
Show
Can you
the
hear?
camera. Yeah, we can see that. Eh, ding ding
Can
ding
you
ding.
hear the ding
Ah,
ding
that's
ding?
perfect. We have a sound effect. So while we have the sound effects going, these are metal balls if you're not watching the video, but you can hear that ding ding bang bang. There we go. There we go.
Yeah.
They're used for exercise and therapy and stress management. That's why Remo has them there to manage his stress
See
and
how
for
relaxed
his
I am.
therapy. Yeah, he's super relaxed. And two balls, they're quite the decent size. They're bigger than a ping pong ball. They fit pretty neatly in one hand, and you sort of roll them around in your hand. They've got tons of names. They're known as reflex balls, healthy balls, miracle balls, cloisonne balls if they're made from cloisonne, meditation balls, chiming balls, exercise balls, melody balls, and so on. Do you have miracle balls, Remo?
I'm told so. I'm told. I'm told that I do.
It's a
Um,
miracle. Okay, so what you do is you put a pair of these Baoding balls in the palm of one hand and you rotate them. And you keep switching the position of the two balls, and but the balls are always in contact with each other, and you hear that sort of chimey noise when you heard Remo
mm,
tapping them together there, and it's not scientifically proven. There we go. There's a little chime inside. It's not scientifically proven, but the balls are thought to exercise the hand muscles and improve brain function. That's why Remo uses them to increase his brain function. They reduce stress and they're kind of an alternative medicine practice to stimulate the acupuncture points on the hand.
mm.
They're also used in physical therapy after hand surgery to exercise the soft tissue of the hand and the wrist and the arm. So, where do they come from? The first Baoding balls are created in Hebei in China during the Ming Dynasty. So, they're older than the Great Wall of China and they're originally made of iron. So, they used to be called iron balls. So, most Baoding
Hey,
balls
wait a
are
minute. That
made
was
from
mine. That was my nickname.
iron balls,
So
old
enough
iron
with the
balls.
balls jokes.
Okay. So they're mainly made from metal, these magical balls, and they've got they're hollow spheres, and each has a chime that rings inside when it strikes the outer sphere. And they can also be made of solid jade or agate or marble or other kinds of auspicious stones. The longest living Chinese emperor, Emperor Qianlong of the Qing dynasty, attributed his long life to daily playing with his balls. And they were prescribed to him by his personal physician. And the idea caught on. Everybody wanted to live a long life like this emperor. But they're kind of fun to use. And as they rotate, you've got this musical accompaniment. Now, there's a scene in the 1954 Humphrey Bogart film, The Cane Mutiny, where Bogey is sitting on the witness stand and he's losing it. And he's got two balls in his hand, but they're actually not Baoding balls. They're like two small ball bearings, which
Right.
he uses in moments of stress. And there's that famous scene where Bogey unravels on the witness stand and he's going, "Ah, yes, but the strawberries, they laughed at me and they made jokes." Famous scene. You had to be there. Um,
Nice, nice
Jean
impersonation.
Jean Reno uses them to relax in a film called The Adventurers from 2017. Lawrence Fishburne used them in the film Boys in the Hood, and so on. So they have transcended all cultures. And Remo's got
Yeah.
balls
Well,
on a shelf.
I always like the look of them, and yeah. So they've been gathering dust on my shelf here for nigh on 40 years. So I
Pull them
vouch for
out.
them.
Pull out your
I
balls.
I vouch for them. Balls
Now
and
that
brains.
interesting
That's me.
balls and brains. That story idea came to us from Neil Spencer. Thank you for that.
Oh yeah. Awesome. Well, moving right along, nothing to do with Chinese culture this time, but Oh, I forgot to tell you, and this is relevant to the
Yeah.
story. While
Yeah.
you were away, I told you about my new radio gig, right? Anyway,
You
so
did, but you need to
yeah,
share this.
yeah. So every couple of weeks, I join Renee Crosh on ABC Radio Sydney to chat about
Yay.
something. And this week, because Valentine's Day, um, well, if you're listening to this podcast, it's probably past, but we're recording this just prior. But because of the theme of love, we talked about over the top proposals and declarations of love and how it's all become so performative, and it's really, no longer just a genuine one-to-one thing. There's no longer just about the live audience who's witnessing the proposal, but it's all about as much about the drone shot as it is about anything else, and the sharing of the content on social media. But this story is a little bit like that, but actually, to be generous, it's sweeter. It's sweeter. It's Yassan's proposal. Now Yassan. So back in 2008, a Japanese artist who was known as Yassan, his actual name is Yasushi Takahashi, had a girlfriend and was thinking to pop the question, but wanted to do it in a significant way. He had been toying with this thing called GPS art. GPS art is where you kind of move around in physical space with a phone or a device, and it knows where you are, and you can upload it to your Google Maps program, and it will show you where you've
Where you've
traveled.
been.
Um, so he decided that he was going to propose by having an adventure throughout Japan on a path that will spell out his proposal, and specifically the words "marry me" with a heart at the end. So it took him a while to research, well, where do I have to go to actually make those letters? How do I do that? Once he'd kind of designed it, he was doing all this. He's not telling his girlfriend what he's up to. He tells his girlfriend that he's going to go on this trip, doesn't say what for. A little bit perplexing for her because they haven't been together for that long, and all of a sudden he's quit his job and he's going to go away for 6 months.
Oh dear,
So,
that long.
yeah, I know, 6 months. So for 6 months, he drove all through Japan. And it wasn't just highways and streets. He had to actually kind of walk through agricultural fields and sleep in his car, and because he needed to make those words and take that path. So the final result was this colossal "marry me" on the map of Japan with a heart symbol, and super creative marriage proposal. He showed his girlfriend, who accepted, but somewhat frustratingly, there was a delay because she wasn't familiar with the English phrase "marry me," which is
Oh
a little bit of
no.
a bummer.
Oh
I know, he had to kind of explain what it meant.
no.
So earned him a Guinness World Record for the largest ever GPS drawing, and the story, got widespread attention, got shared virally. Google picked it up and created a promotional video for Google Maps telling the story of Yassan
Oh wow.
and his odyssey through Japan. If you buy the book, you will see I've got a link to that video there, and it's fun to watch. The Reddit boards were kind of amusing, watching on as the story unfolded. Laser Names says, "I've never been a girlfriend, but I think most girlfriends would prefer to have their boyfriend around for 6 months and a normal marriage proposal." Someone called Acrid Test also reckoned, "She's screwed every argument, and he's going to be like, I walked 6 months just to propose, and now you're being a total bitch." His words, not mine. And finally, oh, that's sweet. I wish it was in Japanese. But actually, I looked at what the Japanese katakana letters would be for the same phrase, and yeah, good luck with that. There's no way he's going to create that pattern walking through the country. So, yeah, for the radio segment earlier this week, I talked about this, but also some kind of kooky and slightly dangerous and often stupid versions. I don't know where it's all going to end. That and the whole gender reveal thing, it's going to sort of does my head in sometimes.
Yes, yes.
The lengths that people will go to. But there you have it. So they're our topics for today. Hopefully, you've learned something, and so have our listeners.
I certainly did. I just think it's so cute that his fiance to be didn't understand what it said. That's
I
so
know
cute.
well, I can see the disappointment in his face when she looked at him like, "Oh,
Yeah,
that's nice. What is it?"
that's interesting.
Ugh. All right, I'll leave it at that. And as I say, the 6th book is at the printer, 1 to 5, available online, remorandom.com.
And
Get them while they're hot, and
yeah, collect the set. Collect the
collect
set.
the
It's better
set.
than collecting things out of Kellogg's cornflakes. It's much more entertaining.
And I need ideas. I need ideas. I wrote about smiling yesterday. Oh, just one little cute thing I learned. There's 2 kinds of smiles. There's that fake
Yeah.
smile that you just did, that people, and then there's the real smile. It's called a Duquesne smile, and that engages these muscles up near the
Duquesne.
eyes that create like crow's feet and lift your cheekbones. And it's very hard to do that
Ah.
voluntarily. And the
Oh,
non-Duquesne smile, which is like the fake smile, has another name. And you know what it is? The
what? Fakey.
the Pan Am smile.
The
Because
Pan Am smile.
yeah, that's the technique. Because that's what the hostesses and hosts used to sort of the face
Turn
they
it
used to
on.
have as you were getting onto the plane. Everyone had to get the same Pan
The
Am
Pan
smile.
Am
So
smile.
yeah.
Excellent. We see if
That's
you've
a
got a
little taste.
fantastic
That's a taste
idea
for
like
next week.
that.
Yeah.
That's right. You can email us at hello@remorandom.com with your great ideas, and we can tell that story on air. Well, that was fun.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Claudia.
honey. Good to see you.
All right. Yeah. Happy Chinese New Year, Tiger.
Thank you. Kong hei fa choi.